Hi, I'm Ann Perez. I used to be a high school English teacher, and now I create professional learning like this. Today, I'm joined with colleagues Danielle Peck and Kevin Santer.
Hi, I'm Danielle. I was also a high school English teacher, but I'm happy to be with all of you now. And today we have a special guest, Kevin. Kevin, I'll hand it over to you to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Danielle. I'm Kevin Santer. I'm the lead instructor for the Career and Technical Education Department at Michigan Virtual. Um, kind of a convoluted path to get here. Before that, I was in software development for about 20 years and then taught math and computer science in a face-to-face setting for about 10 years. And now I've been with Michigan Virtual for, I think, about 6 years.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin. This is our series on collaboration and feedback, and today we are talking all about clarity. So with that, we have our level setting for today, and it's taken from an article called Clarity, the First Imperative of Collaboration by Carlos Valdes de Pena. Um, there are three main parts of clarity, according to this article. So first, teams need clarity about what requires collaboration and what doesn't in order to be, number two, more intentional in their collaboration. Their intentionality must then be supported by, number three, enough discipline to keep things on track. Discipline includes regular meetings structured around the right things and aligned to the why and what. Anne and I both loved this as a level setting for today. And Kevin, I just wanted to invite you to share your thoughts about this quote.
Sure, Daniel. It's a great definition. I love it as well. I like that it brings context. It gives you not just a description of what it is, but why it's important. Um, and it really reinforces, to my mind, the need for what Stephen Covey describes as begin with the end in mind, one of his 7 principles. And I think that's of utmost importance when you're trying to do any kind of problem solving.
Kevin, I love that definition that you just shared. And so that gets me wondering, can you share a time when clarity enhanced your work with your colleagues?
Sure. As I was preparing for this, I could come up with a number of examples. So I'm going to cheat a little bit and try and see if I can squeeze in 2 stories. Both of them actually, this picture applies to. I think we've all heard the fable about the blind man and the elephant and how, based on their different perspectives, they all are convinced they see something different. And of course, this happens all the time, right? We all have what we think is a solid understanding of a problem. But it may not be the same as the other team members. And of course, that's not good. So the first example is kind of about getting the story straight, making sure that we see the same thing. We had a student contact an instructor and say, "Hey, I can't get to my course material." Um, the instructor then gets in touch with me. I'm the lead developer. I'm kind of our lead developer. I'm the lead instructor. I'm kind of their contact person for that. And so we immediately began spinning out hypotheses about what could be going wrong. We started digging into things, and an embarrassing amount of time went by before we recognized that what the student was really saying wasn't that they couldn't access their lesson material, wasn't something going wrong in our systems. It's that they didn't have their login information in the first place. It was as simple as the wrong email had been entered for the student when they were enrolled, so they just didn't get these automated messages. And I think the lesson there is that if we'd taken a little bit more time to talk more carefully with the student to get a clearer picture of what exactly the problem was, to get the clarity there, we could have solved the problem a lot quicker. Another story that occurred to me is a little bit more elaborate. I think it shows how clarity can be helpful in a few different stages when you're working on problem solving. So we had a course in our department, and it was fine. It was, the material was interesting and engaging. We had lots of students sign up for it, but the level of success in terms of the student pass rate just wasn't where we wanted it to be. It wasn't in line with our expectations or our other courses that we offer. And we had a number of people involved in trying to figure out what was going wrong and what we could do to make a difference. So we had me as a lead instructor. We had 2 or 3 instructors who actually, semester in and semester out, taught the course. We involved our curriculum director. So we had a lot of different perspectives. We had a lot of great ideas just brainstorming about, oh, we could do this, we could do that. right? I think the kind of natural inclination to just jump right to a solution without taking the time to clarify what exactly we're seeing, where in detail, what kind of root causes are in play here, and specifically what kind of factors, we could try and play with. And so that was, fortunately, I had a great set of colleagues to work with that time who were definitely willing to take the time and investigate, look more deeply, collect data, decide what appropriate measurements are, just get the details of what's going on right now, and then work on prioritizing, making sure that it was clear to us that we're all going after the same things in the same order. And then it made it a much more effective use of our time when we split up the work to try and put interventions in place. One person or a couple of people could be working on changing the way assignments are explained, providing more demonstrations. Another person could be looking at just the overall length of the course. Is it just too much more material than we need to meet our objectives for the course, and allow time for students to finish it? So, as I said, we had a number of different ideas about what we could go after, and taking the time to investigate and prioritize those, I think, in the end, made our interventions a lot more useful, a lot more beneficial. It also put us in the place of being able to measure, again, at the end, with that same clarity, just what had happened. Instead of just randomly trying things and then coming to the end and not knowing which ones worked and which ones which ones didn't. It gave us insight into specifically what interventions had what outcomes, and it gave us not just improvement for this course, but an approach and a set of tools that we could then apply to other similar problems. So it was a real positive experience for us, and ultimately for our students. I think as I look at the slide here with begin with the end in mind, I think that is, especially in the second one, the second story that I told, the key takeaway, right? We took the time up front to say, okay, what is it exactly we're trying to do in detail, not just a broad, let's make things better, but let's think about how we're going to know when we get there that we did make a difference and what made that difference.
Kevin, I really loved both of your stories. And when you were telling that first story, the quote that came to mind is this single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place, by George Bernard Shaw. Dear colleague of mine used to have that in her email signature. And when I first started teaching, I did not quite understand that, but I definitely do now. In that first story, you talked about all that time you spent because you thought that communication had taken place and that clarity was there, but a little bit more digging might have revealed something else. And I think that's such an important lesson that I definitely connect with, and I think a lot of teachers will connect with that too.
I think so. And it's also one of the risks when you're something of an expert in there, right? I'm patting myself on the back. I can think of half a dozen things that this could be, and here I was off merrily trying them, when if I just set my ego to the side, or my assumptions to the side, at least, I could have got to the solution. We could have got to the solution a lot quicker.
That's interesting that you kind of share that point too, Kevin, because as I was listening to your story, and Danielle, your kind of key takeaway gets me to this third point about the importance of having consensus and commitment. When we all are approaching a problem and we have different perspectives and we begin just to kind of jump in and with all of these ideas, if we are making those assumptions and we don't have clarity or a consensus as to a way to move forward, or we don't have kind of joined commitment towards the same goal, kind of as you were saying, our efforts can be split in multiple ways instead of collaboratively joining forces and moving towards one common solution, or the way that we're spending our time more efficiently and effectively. So thank you so much for sharing your experience, and for also helping to highlight these really important key takeaways. As educators, we're always in moments where collaboration is really important, and the clarity that we use in order to do that.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
So what's next? As always, we have the article linked. So that's called Clarity, the First Imperative of Collaboration. We really recommend taking a look at that. And of course, you can go back to our PD on a page and check out the different resources that we have listed. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us today. We really loved talking with you. And for all of you out there, we will see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.